All right, all right, all right. Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome to episode 127 of BIM After Dark Live. My name is Jeff, also known as the Revit Kid. If you're here for the first time, welcome. If you're returning, then you know all about the show. This is typically a nighttime live stream where we talk about BIM, architecture, technology, Revit, and anything really related. Usually have a cocktail, but since it's the middle of the day, I got my water. And our guest is actually overseas, and we're going to introduce him soon. So we accommodated him, and I'm super excited to have him on. We're going to be talking about AI because that's what everyone's talking about, right? But how it relates to Revit and some really cool stuff that he's been doing, actually with auditing your Revit models and doing certain things with your Revit models using AI. So super excited to jump in. Again, if you are here for the first time, feel free to subscribe to the channel and check out the other 126 episodes. I see some returning visitors in our chat already. That's the other thing. Don't forget, this is a live stream. If you're here at 12 noon Eastern time or 6 p.m. Barcelona time, then feel free to ask questions of myself and Jamie, my guest, as we go through, and I will try to feed them in. If not, they could always get answered later on via comments here on YouTube. So with all that being said, I think it is time to introduce our guest. And so, Jamie, welcome to the show, man.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jeffrey, for the invitation. Very glad to be here today.
Of course, man. Thank you for coming on. And, it is BIM After Dark Live typically, but usually, when we have guests from Europe or sometimes even Australia or other locations in the world, we can definitely accommodate to make sure it's a live stream. So I appreciate you still willing to come on, even though it's probably the end of your day. Maybe not quite time for a cocktail, but maybe. But I know it's the middle of our day.
Yeah, drinking water actually. So
there we
it's
go.
6 p.m. Early for a cocktail here in Spain.
That's definitely sure. Definitely. I'm sure there's some folks here in the chat that it's time to have their vodka sodas or something like that. But Jamie, thank you for joining. I think initially I saw some of your work on LinkedIn. Maybe you had a post or two. And then I believe I was chatting with Nick from BIM Pure. And he mentioned as well that I should have you on as a guest. So credit to LinkedIn and Nick, I guess, in this case, for having me reach out, because I've looked at some of your stuff and it's super exciting. Before we jump into what we're going to talk about, maybe give everyone a little bit of a background on yourself, who you are, maybe what you do, and what got you to my attention and here on the show with talking about BIM and AI.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Jaime. I'm from Spain. I'm a Revit programmer. I've been trying to make Revit a little bit better for 5 years already. I started a company called Nonica, I've been working for the 5 years on the same Revit adding now. I'm really keen to show what AI can do in Revit. Some of the work we have been doing at Nonica. So yeah, really looking forward to the show.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah. And so do you want to talk a little bit about Nonica before we jump in? Because I did check out the website. It's related, but not exactly related, or is it related? I'm trying.
Sorry, what did you say?
Do you want to talk a little bit about the app before we jump into the AI side of it?
Yeah.
So
it's related at all. Yeah.
Definitely. So what is Nonica?
Well, Nonica, we only have one product, and that's everything we do. It's a Revit adding. Nonica, we first started 2020 very focused on Dynamo. So we started focus on integrating Dynamo scripts into Revit, sharing them across companies, monitoring, and so on. Later on, we went into developing Revit tools. So we were integrating different tools. Kind of like making it accessible to everyone, so even that Dynamo developers could access it and could customize their own custom toolbars. From there, we jumped early this year into AI. That's when we started working with some new things like MCPs and so on. That's pretty much what I'm going to be talking about today.
Awesome. Yeah, so I guess we can jump right into that. And again, if you guys have questions as we're going through, I'm going to keep an eye on the chat. But first, let's talk about how your sort of journey into AI. And I noticed on most of your content, you've been using Claude as the AI, your AI tool. So first, maybe let's talk about your introduction to and how you sort of jumped into this deep dive into AI and also connecting it to Revit.
Yeah. So, well, I initially got into working with AI with rendering. So, well, Veras was introduced, and then I got into, well, trying some online APIs, sending images, rendering directly from Revit. And that was actually, I think, beginning 2024 when I was experimenting there. But yeah, that rendering part, I stopped there. Yeah, I focused more on the Revit tooling later on. Well, I think that gave me later on the first step into getting well into the MCPs and the connection with Cloud, and to provide this tool to AI to control and to access Revit.
Can you explain to the audience what you mean by MPC, right?
MCP, MCP.
MCB, yeah. What does that mean for us who don't know what that
Yeah.
means?
Well, MCPs are like a way of providing a set of tools to AI. So, well, with ChatGPT or Claude, when we ask a question, we just get a response. But if we have MCPs, we could ask, for example, well, ChatGPT to send an email for us, to change a word in a Revit model, to well, export a document into the PC, or like actually having tools that makes actions in the computer, or yeah.
So I oops, sorry, I hit the wrong button. So when it comes to the actual AI engine or the language model, whatever you want to call it, that you're using, again, I noticed using Claude. Is there? So I think for everyone, probably everyone at this point in time has used some version of a language model, right? Whether it's Copilot or Claude or ChatGPT, right? I mean, at this point in time, I think it's probably hard to imagine, or even just Google search, right? When you turn the AI button on, I guess, right? I mean, the Gemini, whatever it is, right? And so, what sort of drove you? Because I'm in a similar boat, and I'm sure everyone's probably thinking the same thing, right? Like I actually use ChatGPT a lot. Like it's pretty much open all the time, right? I'm using it for all kinds of various things, and I've I'm spending time understanding how to talk to it, that whole thing, right? But it's also like it's overwhelming when you think, okay, but should I be using Gemini or Claude or all these other ones? Am I going to get better results depending on what I'm doing? Is there something that sort of made you say Claude is the one for this connection?
Well, yeah, Anthropic, which is the company behind Claude, was the company that released MCPs. MCPs are, well, the acronym for Model Context Protocol. That was released as an open standard for large language models to connect to tooling. So
Okay.
Anthropic was the company that actually released that, let's say, that way of connecting.
But now other tools and languages have similar connections, or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Like, yeah, for example, Cursor, like Visual Studio Code, all these desktop apps have different MCP servers and connections. Yeah.
Got it. All right. Well, let's jump in. I know you had a couple slides you wanted to show before we jump into live demo, so maybe we jump into that, and that will help set the framework of what we're going to talk about.
Yep.
All right. So they're seeing your slides now.
Great. So yeah, I'm gonna be talking about Revit model auditing with AI. Well, just a few slides before jumping into the live demo. As an introduction, a little bit of context. So basically, well, most of the AI chats and tools works following the same workflow. Well, the user asks a question, and then, well, the AI model produces, well, generates the code to, well, answer that question in Revit. And then from there, well, the code is being run, and later on the output is brought to the user. That has been how most of the AI tools has worked in Revit, and has proved to work pretty well for simple tasks. But as model has been getting smarter and smarter, we have seen that there are some limitations for more complex tasks. So when the code start to get more extensive, when well, it start to get longer, we can see that the AI models start to make small mistakes, small errors, and that the code, well, the tooling and the code that they produce sometimes get stuck somewhere. And one of the issues as well is that we have in most cases, no feedback. So if the tool doesn't run, well, the tool just doesn't run. So we don't know what is happening, and we need to be asking again and again to try to fix it and iterating back. So, but as we were saying before, that changed late 2024. Anthropic released the MCPs. Well, MCPs are like a way of, let's say, providing the AI specific tools. So we programmers can code the tools and give them to AI. So every time I ask a question to the AI, instead of generating the code from scratch, what the AI is going to do is going to look for the tool that makes sense and then run it. And the cool thing is like it gets like feedback from the tool, and that we can also improve those tools to be running well always. So we can make them like error proof. From there, I mean, it's not perfect either. I always say it. So like everything with AI sounds very fancy today, but there are some limitations. There are some benefits as well. And I'm gonna be talking about them well in the live demo. Yeah, just the last slide I promised before jumping in. The demo is going to have a first part in which I'm going to be running tools with Claude. I'm going to be extracting data with Claude, asking different things about my Revit model. And in parallel, I'm going to also be preparing like live dashboards, reports, also interacting with Revit, editing parameters, selecting in Revit, and all these kind of things. So yeah, let's just jump into the demo. No more talking. And of course, if you have questions, always feel free to interrupt. I'm happy to go there. Move this.
So real quick before we jump into the demo, two questions. Well, first question, I'm curious, and maybe this is a big good question for the end, and we can come back to it. But how does creating your own connection like you're doing here, or you will do here, we'll see. How is it different than, or is it different than Autodesk's latest announcement of the AI assistant or whatever it is, and that sort of built-in language model within Revit, that sort of thing? Is it similar?
Well, I don't know because I haven't really tried Autodesk Assistant, so I don't know what is going on behind the scenes or how they run it. So like this type of connection is, as I was saying, like kind of novel. So I don't know if Autodesk is actually using it
Right.
or they are generating code behind. So
yeah, my gut tells me it's code behind, but we'll see. And then, so before we jump into the live demo, I did want to take a quick break to mention that this episode of BIM After Dark Live is sponsored by the BIM After Dark community. For those of you not familiar with the BIM After Dark community, it is it is a private community with not just courses, but also sample files, online office hours, templates, and so much more. Here's a little glimpse of the feed of people asking questions, going back and forth with members and as well as training. There's a residential template, and so this is the residential template that I've created. So if you're interested in checking that out, full members get a full access to this, and I'm actually in the process of updating this as we speak, as well as courses. This is the BIM Can Be Sexy course, where we talk about presentation, renderings, and so on and so forth. The cool thing about this course is that there is a feed, and so every single lesson, every single piece of content that you're going through, you have the ability to ask questions, comment, and get feedback. Office hours have become ever more popular. Every other week, we hold an office hour where we talk about whatever's on your mind. It's really a Zoom call, and you get to speak with other members as well as myself to talk through whatever's on your mind, what's troubling you on Revit, help, and so on and so forth. As well as all 112 previous office hours are available to you in the archive. And last but not least, it also has the Bad Notepad. And this is basically a place where I plan out all of the series and content and whatnot that I am going through. And so you can see here, this is the Revit on an iPad post, which you guys probably saw the video for. This was kind of the back end piece of it with sample files and information, including here's the North Wing project. And so not only did I introduce the project, but I use this as a place to store all my ideas as well as sample files. So you have the ability to download the North Wing project, including even some of the estimating files, and so on and so forth. So if you are interested in joining the community, then head on over to community.bimafterdark.com and support this live stream, as well as hang out with some incredibly awesome Revit users. All right. So Jamie, or Jaime, sorry. let's jump into it and let's see this thing in action. And I'm sure there's gonna be lots of questions, and I'm super excited to see what we can pull from it. So they are seeing your screen now, and so feel free to take it away.
Great. So in the left part, I got Claude. This is the AI desktop app that I'm going to be using. And in the right part, I got Revit, the sample model I got here. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to enable the connection. So yeah, I'm not going to make like a full sales pitch about it. This is part of our application. And it basically enables the connection between Cloud and Revit and gives the tools for Cloud to actually access and edit Revit. Yeah, let me move this here. Yeah, once the connection is enabled in Cloud, I can just come down here. And in Revit, I have here all the tools that are available to Cloud. So all these are like small modules that Cloud is going to use to combine to access the information. So I'm going to start with a very simple case just to show how it works and then jump into more advanced stuff. So yeah, I'm just going to select this word here, and I'm going to say, what is the width of my selected wall type in Revit? Well, I usually recommend to run the latest model. That's also a good thing, and to run extended thinking as well, so that brings better responses. Yeah, the first thing it's going to do is going to have a thought process in which it thinks which tools it needs to use to get to the final purpose. So it finds that it needs to get the user selection, then find the information about the selected elements, if it's a wall, and get the material layers to determine the width. That's only a path that it proposed. So each one of these lines is a tool being run. So the first thing, extract the user selection. We can see that it got the ID here. From there, start getting parameters. I can see the wall with type. So it finds the type from the parameters. And from there, it gets the material layers. And from there, we can see that the total width is 100 millimeters. And this is the layers of the wall type. So it's a very simple case of how it combines the tools. And the cool thing, I think, is that it's flexible and it's able to combine these tools to answer my questions and to get there. So yeah, I'm gonna create a new chat for the next one. That was, of course, pretty simple. So let's jump into something a little bit more advanced. Yeah, what I'm gonna be asking, I have some prompts prepared just to make it a little bit more dynamic. I'm gonna be copy pasting, and then while it loads, I'm gonna be explaining. So I'm asking now to analyze all the wall types in Revit and identify the values of the fire rating parameter type parameter. So it's good to give context. If I wouldn't have mentioned type, for example, it could have tried with distances and so on. So it's more effective if I give context. And then to identify if there are formatting issues, such as missing units, inconsistent abbreviations, so on, and provides a concise report. So I say concise because I don't want the AI to talk too much. So I like to go straight to the point. To list all the deviations. And the cool thing is, like, the AI is going to extract all the information from all the wall types and find the pattern. So I haven't even really specified which pattern I want to check against, but instead I'm just asking to check. Yeah, start extracting data again. First, need to get all the wall types, get the fire rating parameters for the wall types, and then doing different things. And then we can see after all the tools has been run. Perfect. I've analyzed all the wall types, most frequent format. So it found the more frequent format is in seven occurrences is X space min. Examples are blah, blah, blah. And then we got formatting deviations found. So we got missing units. So some wall types have the missing units, only the 30. Others have no space, no wall in plural. Others have hours instead of minutes, for example, or no value at all. So yeah, as I was saying, so it's able to detect that. But the cool thing is, for example, I think this wall is one of the walls that have issues. So this one should have like 2 hours here. Yeah, if I just copy this here, the cool thing is like I can just tell AI to fix it. So based on all the changes that it previously listed, it can just fix it. And the cool thing is that this is pretty hard to automate. So to write code that actually fix and makes these unit conversions, and that takes the this part away, and that put the space as well in between. So these kind of things are done by the AI because it understands the data behind. So we can see that it has made the change already. So if I go back to the wall type, I should have the new value here, the 120 mins with the formatting. Um, yeah, as I was saying, that it's pretty nice because it's flexible in that sense, and it can reply to that.
Yes. So, a couple of things that come to mind as I'm going through this or watching you do this is, first, I feel like this is an incredible tool if you're like learning Dynamo, right? Because reading those steps is like exactly how you try to like teach people Dynamo. It's exactly how it's listing that. It's like such a good way to understand how Revit works, and then being able to, whether you're coding or using Dynamo, I guess, right? Because coding's similar, right? But understanding these are the steps that Revit takes to get to this. So if you're selecting an element and you're changing its type, these are the 7 steps that it takes, which is exactly like learning Dynamo, which I guess again is like the code side. But your point about fixing that and pushing that information into it, that is I think something that's huge, right? The fixing those, like you said, those, what was it, 5 different errors that it found or something like that, right? I think what you're saying is that if you were to fix that, whether it's through Dynamo or even through code, and you're trying to make a tool that does it, right? Each one of those error types would basically have to have a whole series of solutions, right? It's very complicated, whether we're talking Dynamo script or whether we're talking code. Whereas here, the AI just knows, because it's analyzing the data and it's saying, okay, I can fix all this first and then push it back in. So that is super cool. And then also reporting or finalizing it with a report that also says, here's all the things that were changed. And I'm assuming, and maybe this is where you're going next, I'm assuming then you can also take not, because all this data, all these changes or edits or however you want to call it, fixes, were being sorted through through Claude. I'm assuming you can also then produce like a report that says, here's what we changed, and this is how we changed it, and this is how many things we changed, right?
Yeah, yeah. You have like in Cloud, you have something that is called the artifacts, and usually it's produced like in the right corner of the screen. So here, like sometimes if you specifically ask for it, it will produce it, or it can be HTML code, like a website. I'm going to also do an example a little bit forward. But it can also produce plain text markdown format to put it elsewhere or to export it to any other file. So
nice. No, that's great. So before your next example, then the one question no one asked it, but the AI connector for Revit that you launched there. That's a tool that you created. How does, if somebody wanted to get that or use that, how do they do it?
yeah, this is one of the tools in our Revit add-in. So
Okay.
it's part of Nonica tab.
Okay.
There, like we have like the 2 versions. One is free with some tools. Like the Pro has obviously more tools, so it's really up to whatever it was to be used for.
Got it. Okay. So if someone wanted to use that connector, it's through the Nonica app. Okay. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Yeah, I had a feeling there was going to be, if there's not a question, I can guarantee you that's going to be a question. So I figured I'd fill in the details there. Awesome. So yeah, let's jump into another example. That's awesome.
Yeah. One thing before going into the next one, I wanted to say, because I have the zoom bar on the top. Don't be afraid, because every time like the AI make a change in Revit, you can always undo it here. So we got the transaction here, so we can always undo it.
So the whole transaction is packaged in the undo. Perfect.
Yeah. So in this case, it was only the parameter values being set, so all is packed in that one. But also, like if you just want to prepare if you want to prepare the reports and don't edit the model, you can just disable the editing tools here, and then AI can only do. But at any time, that's kind of also flexible for doing.
Awesome.
So let's jump into the next one. I'm gonna create a new chat again. going a little bit forward, and I copy paste this. Now I'm gonna focus on filtering by parameters and properties. So the model is in Dutch, so I don't speak Dutch either, but it should be fun. It should be funnier to audit a model in Dutch, even though we don't speak Dutch. So what I'm asking now is to find all the rooms in my current view and analyze the number of people parameters. So there is one parameter in the rooms that is called Antalpersonen, which is related to the occupancy of that room. And I'm asking to judge, tell me if based on the purpose and the area of the room, if the number of people makes sense. So I could have asked, for example, to compare against a building code or something. I didn't do it just to make it a little bit more simple. But it also have, Cloud also have the web search, so you can actually look online for resources and so on. What I'm asking is to judge it based on the area and the function, if actually the number of people, the occupancy makes sense. So, again, you start first finding all the rooms. This is kind of like strategizing what needs to run. And then from there, get active view. That's the first one. We can see that after each tool, there is like a thought process. If for example, it doesn't get the output it expects from that tool, it will try a different one. So it iterates and try again with different stuff. So it's getting all the elements on in the view, getting categories. Let me find the room category. Let me get the categories for all the elements in the view. So it's filtering out elements. And from there, start getting elements. So how complex it is or how many tools it uses, it really depends on the request. Now it's taking a little bit longer because it needs to access more data, like the area and the number of people. But it shouldn't take that long, actually. Yeah, perfect. I've collected. So we can see it's preparing some report. So basically it tells like, there's some reasonable values and there's some questionable ones. We have like, for example, a toilet, which is 1.5 square meters and it's for four people. So it actually understands that that doesn't make sense because a toilet is actually meant for only one person, right? So this is very small for four people, likely an error, unless it's also a urinal area. So it also makes some recommendations. Sometimes it's not 100% sure about what it says. So it makes more, let's say, recommendation rather than really straight things to review. And now it's saying the warehouse, only 41 square meters per person, seems low for a warehouse. Typical warehouse occupancy is 50 to 100. So it's making a recommendation to check the value because it thinks it could be again, can be wrong. And then make some final summary saying like 4 people, 30 people, and some other recommendations. So the cool thing is that it can make this semantic check. And again, understanding the data that is behind, judging if it makes sense, or even checking more specific data if I will have asked for that.
That's awesome. I love how it's doing the analysis of the spaces, and then and then it's making recommendations. And I'm assuming if you wanted, you can have it fix those rooms as well that it called out.
Well, we could have the values fixed as well for those rooms. So yeah, it's also able to make those changes.
Super cool. And then now let's see, room. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. So then, as far as and maybe there's maybe that's coming next. There was a question in the chat, and I think this kind of has this can be in line with this. So, this is analyzing data of the room element, for example, right? And so, analyzing the data of an object to me makes total sense, right? It's a database. It's analyzing, based on X, Y, and Z. How does it react to things like, or could it? And I guess maybe this is more of a limitation of Revit than anything else. But things like I don't know, drawings or notes, like drafted items or like images, like I guess there's not, I guess we'll just use text notes or something like that as a thing or whatnot. If you're not using like tags, for example, if you're using a text note on a bunch of elevations, is there any way for this to interact with that and say, hey, check sheets A100 for this, or because those are sort of dumb elements within Revit, are we limited as well with how this interacts with it? If you, I think maybe you kind of get what I'm asking.
Yeah, no, I get it, I get it. So yeah, I think yeah, it will get there because I mean it can get all the elements in the view and get which categories they are
Okay.
from. So it will get your text notes or tags and then analyze if like they should be tags or not if we give the proper instructions. So you have to make that analysis.
Okay, no, that's super cool. Yeah, I mean that was kind of a question there, and it is kind of a neat idea, right? It's check all the views on sheet A100 and then look for this note or something, or that kind of thing. That could be super useful, I think, for quality control of documents. All
Yeah.
right, cool. All right, you have another example? Let's
Yes.
do it.
So yeah, the next one is more on loading of Revit and file sizing of families. So I'm gonna ask now to calculate the file size of all the door families in the model, the number of types per family, the number of types and elements per family, and the number of parameters of one of the elements per family, and create a ranking. So why I'm doing this is because it's not. I think it's not only important to have the file size of the families to find if some of them are heavy, but it's also good to know if there is like a lot of types in those family that are not being used that could be cleaned up, or if there is, for example, a lot of like formulas parameters or a lot of parameters that are overloading the model. So these three things I think are can be key to make those decisions and to maybe add another family, replace one, or remove if necessary. So from there, start running. So the first thing it gets the door category, get all the use families of a category, and then start getting the sizes of the families. So this one is a little bit longer because it needs to extract more data from Revit. So it needs to find all the use types, the parameters, and so on. Yeah, start getting the types. Yeah, one of the things I think is good to say is that it's good to be aware that sometimes AI can sound very confident on the responses it gives. So yeah, there are some tricks that I do sometimes to check that. For example, one of the things is like if I'm asking to check like 400 families in my model, it would probably start checking them and maybe check 20, 30, 40. And then after that, oversimplify and it thinks there is a pattern there and stop there.
Got it.
So it will probably tell me a conclusion that it says like this is the more heavy families. But if it's good to follow up with some question like what is the scope of your analysis, or maybe in the initial prompt to say tell me how many families have you checked, have you
Yep.
checked all? It's kind of like follow up questions. I think it helps to know if it's really a comprehensive analysis or it's just still not there.
Got it.
Um, yes, I would say I think it's also good to have want to specify as much context as possible. So if I say like very specific things I mentioned, as I was saying, like type parameters, instance parameters, these kind of things help the AI to go straight away into the things and will extract the data more efficiently. Yeah, we can see that it keeps working, extracting the use types, and then from there it's getting all the elements. So extracting the number of elements per type. So this is the longer one. So it's like the other one are a little bit shorter. So it will take a little bit longer, but it should be fine.
So while it's chugging, then there was a question that I know happens every time we talk about AI, which is the data security and whatnot. So especially if you're working on maybe models for a project where you don't want that information feeding the language model or public consumption or whatever, right? Is there I'm assuming maybe similar to ChatGPT, is there a way to make sure that the data stays within your session and not feeding the model? Is that how you would sort of control security of it, or no?
In Cloud, you have an option. I cannot see it because it's running a chat, but usually when I have the initial chat in the top right corner here, there's like a ghost. There is like the incognito mode.
Yep.
So if you run in incognito mode, like
Got it.
they say that they don't use that data for training.
Mm-hmm.
But of course, I mean, we don't like at Nonica, we don't store or share any data with anything. But of
Mm-hmm.
course, you are sharing your data with a large language model.
Right.
So if you're using ChatGPT, like the normal, I think it's the plus version,
Mm-hmm.
you're probably feeding data to train. So I think depends on the tire as well, if
Mm-hmm.
it's training, if it's
Yeah.
being used for training or.
Yeah, and I think for whoever asked that question, I lost it. I'm sorry, but I do think that I think I know ChatGPT, and I'm sure there's a few others that have some form of enterprise versions or something where you can have more walls in between where your data is going and whatnot. And so if that's something that concerns you, whether it's Claude, Gemini, ChatGPT, then I think you just look into it. But there are some options. I don't know fully how secure they are. I'm not smart on that side of things, but I
No,
think that
usually Cloud is quite ethical with the
yeah.
data privacy, so they're usually quite ethical in that sense. But I mean, I think it's good to check before actually sharing the
Yeah,
data.
especially if you're someone who is concerned about model data. So so yeah, it looks like it's still chugging back there. It's going through
Extracting some
parameters
parameters there.
from each family.
Yeah, like how fast it runs, it also depends on cloud servers.
Hmm.
So if the servers are really overloaded, sometimes takes a little bit longer to run.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think in this case, yeah, it's getting stuck a little bit. So cloud servers are suffering a little bit.
That's all right. It's no problem at all. I think there was a couple questions about how folks can get the pro version. Would it be just on Nonica's website or the App Store? What's the easiest way to get the tools?
Well, for one user, it like you can just go into the App Store
Hmm.
and it's just logging in there and getting the app. But for several users, in our website, we have the option to specify several users to have more than one purchase. So you don't have to go again and again to the App Store.
Got it. Perfect. And there is a link for anyone interested. There's a link to Nonica's website below. I don't think I put a link to the App Store, but I'll put a link to. I'm sure you can get to it from the App Store or from the website as well.
Yeah.
But there's a link below. I'm just reading a couple of the chats here. Somebody asked about dimensions. Now that's pretty much. We asked about annotations. Rick Weber asked, "Can this be used to create a tool that lists all the text types in a model and then merge them if they are identical?" So I think what he might be saying, which sounds like we could probably do this, but I guess maybe if you have like, I don't know, text 332nd Arial 1, 332nd Arial 2, for whatever reason you have multiple text types in Revit that are actually the same. For whatever reason, there's multiple types, even though it's all the same, merging them into one. I guess that
Yeah,
sounds doable.
I mean, it is able to find those tags based on categories, and later on it can change the type that is assigned to them.
Right, and then it would
So
just be a matter of
that's fine.
analyzing the data of that text, right? It's
Yeah,
what's the font, what's the size, what's the opacity, and all that good stuff.
yeah.
All right.
So it should be close to the end. So it's getting all the parameters. It's getting quite a bunch of
Yeah,
data,
it's
as
getting a
you
lot
can
of
see.
data, huh? So it's collecting all the families, and then it's collecting all their types, and then it's collecting all their parameter data as well for all the families in the model. Is that what it's doing?
Yeah, for all the door families. Yeah.
All the door families, got it. Oh, and not all of them. I thought you were doing it for all the families. Like, hold on a second, all of them.
No, 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 no.
And so, other than having this connection, um, is there is there any other benefit, or I guess have you tested or seen if ChatGPT or Gemini or other language models could do this better, or is it more because of the connection was easier to make and it was the first one to make that connection, that's the path that you've taken with Claude?
Well, Cloud have kind of like a way of making this connection easier.
Mm.
So it's pretty straightforward with
Hmm.
Visual Studio Code, for example, or ChatGPT desktop app, for example, doesn't have the MCP local app connection.
Okay.
So ChatGPT cannot connect with local apps for MCPs. It can connect with servers, but not with local apps like this one.
Mm.
But with Visual Studio Code or Cursor, you can run any to make this. So think like with Anthropic, it's more straightforward to have that connection than with Cursor and the others.
So this instance of Claude, this is the desktop version. This is not a web version,
Yeah,
right? Got it.
it's a desktop version. Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So I see what you're saying. So ChatGPT can only make it through server connection. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Looks like we're still getting there. 31 parameters. It's getting there.
It's getting there. It's the longer one, I promise. The other one I'm a little bit shorter.
All good. While we're sitting here, guys, make sure if you do have any questions, you ask. There were a couple questions on the. Let me jump back to this. On the cost of the Pro model, it looks like somebody asked. They said that the Pro model. This is of Nonica. Is it different in the App Store versus on the website, or is that because you're talking about the business plan or something like that? Can you maybe have everyone give everyone an idea if they want to do the Pro model for Nonica, what the pricing models are, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. So, well, in the App Store, we are forced to have the price in US dollars, and in our website, we have it in euros because we are based in Spain. So that there are some small things there. I think right now because the US dollar is a little bit downer, is a little bit cheaper to get through the App Store.
I see.
But also for several users, I mean, going to the App Store in each one is a little bit annoying, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Got it. No, that helped explain it. Awesome. All right. It's still chugging. What's it saying? Oh, it's getting there.
It's getting there.
I see the file sizes are coming in. Yep. And then the number of parameters, the number of types. Neat.
Yeah.
There we go.
We got it.
There we go.
So yeah, finally we got it. We got the door families ranking. So here are like all the door families, ordered by file size, the types of each family, number of elements. There is not a lot of doors, and the number of parameters. So, I mean, that could help me, for example, to say like, okay, this family is 6.6 megabytes and there is only one element. I could just maybe replace it for a different one. Or maybe this one that have like 12 types, but only 2 are being used by elements and has like 72 parameters. Maybe that's something that could help me also make a decision replacing this specific door family or so on. So it usually tells some summary statistic here, combined file size, total types, and so on, the aluminium, and some other stuff. So yeah, I can just jump into the next one. I think we got enough from there.
Yeah, no, that's great. And I assume based on what the model is trained on, which probably has some, I'm assuming it can make assumptions, but also can make suggestions based on whatever data it has as far as the model is concerned with, making, now based on this data, how can we make our model more efficient? Or is there any area where you can see this would speed up a model?
Yeah.
Awesome.
I mean, there are ways to add additional data. Like, for example, could upload files here. Or there is also a connection with Google Drive or Gmail and so on. So I could also connect different documents to check for specific stuff and attach information there.
Neat. Cool. All right, let's do another example.
Yeah. So I'm gonna go now into auditing documentation. So I have some sheets here. Some of them start with DO, other with UO. These are like placeholders mainly, so I'm gonna focus on this. So what I'm asking now is to review the sheets with names starting with DO and the views placed on them. So I'm asking to confirm that the views placed on those sheets are aligned with the sheet name. So I want to know if the sheets within this, the views within the sheets are actually like, making sense with the sheet title. I want to know if there is any views that looks to be misplaced from another sheet. That should be pretty straightforward to do. There is one tool. This is I think the more distinctive of this workflow is to get viewports and schedule. So this tool actually gets all the viewports and schedule of those sheets. And from there, the cool thing is that it's able to cross the information. On one hand, the viewports, on the other hand, the sheet titles. One of the limitations as well to mention is that is the context window, I think. Well, the context window is like the amount of information the AI is able to, well, to understand and to work with. So if I, for example, prepare like a super long prompt asking like 10 different things, it's going to spend a lot of time and maybe oversimplify some tasks and can get
Mm.
overwhelmed. So I think for auditing a model, it's good to go step by step as I'm going, and also to open new chats. So the AI starts from scratch, so it doesn't have previous information. It can focus on the task you're asking.
That was actually while this is running. That was a question that was in the chat. Was somebody asked, why are you making a new chat every time? Can you do it all in the same conversation? And what are the limitations, or what are the reasons for that? And so one reason is that it may be pulling from the past history of that conversation and make it a slower process, or add maybe data you don't want. Is there any other reason to start a new chat for each thing, or is that's kind of the big one?
I think that's the big one because
Okay.
I mean if they're related, you can always follow up with more questions. But
Right.
if they're not related, I think it's good to start from scratch.
It makes sense. Yeah. All right.
So
Oh,
yeah, we got
cool.
some summary here. We got some misplaced views. We can see that, for example, VO 100 have like a roof view that should be in a different sheet, for example. And then again, we have DO 200 that have like which is a roof overview sheet that has the ground floor plumbing. So it's able to find that and to tell me these are correctly placed sheets. Recommendation: shop the two misplaced views to their correct sheets to maintain proper organization. So yeah, that's the recommendation. So one of the cool things, just for the sake of it, I could just as well select this and tell. I could ask the AI to translate to English the name of those sheets, starting with DO, and set the translated names to the sheets in Revit. So I don't want to just translate it in the chat. So I always want to have those names in Revit. So, and that should as well translate all the sheets named here, as we see in the screen now.
Nice. No, that's. I look at that. There it goes. Cool.
So yeah, I got another example. I don't know if you have like more
Yeah,
questions
let's
or
do. Yeah, if you want to run the other example, and I'll see if there's any fit. While you're running it, there might be one or two other questions we can do through there. So.
yeah. So yeah, I have some views as well that are meant for rooms. I got them here. Basically, what I'm gonna do now is to check the scope boxes. So, there is a scope boxes that are named under the room name, and I got the views as well. Some of them, they have like some scope boxes assigned. So I want to check if those scope boxes are properly assigned. So again, I'm just copy pasting this here. I'm asking to check the floor plan views that show specific rooms to get the scope boxes, cropping those views, and to check if those are properly assigned.
So it's
So it
looking. So
should
it's
be
looking at
able.
the room in
Yeah.
the view then, and using that as the data. So if the room is living room, then it's going to look for the living room scope box.
Yes, using the view name because it has the room name there.
Yep.
It's going to check the scope
Got
boxes
it. Got it.
also
Perfect.
get named with the same one.
Cool. All right. So
Yeah.
I was gonna say while that's running, there was one question that somebody had was obviously all these examples are the connection with Revit. Have you been looking at, or is there any plans to connect to other tools like, let's say, Navisworks or something like that with a similar connection using Claude, for example?
Not really, to be honest. I mean, everything we do is based on Revit. So all the tools, all the work we do is within Revit. So I can't really say in the future, but there's no plans to jump into other like platforms or yeah.
Got it. So yeah. So you have not. Maybe there's other people out there doing it. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. So this is running. Go ahead. You can run through what it's doing here.
Yeah. So again, it's finding different information. First, getting the view category. From there, getting the elements, and there start getting parameters, also additional properties. There is some data in objects that are not parameters, that are properties attached to the object. So that's a different source of information. From there, get these floor plan views. Let me check. I think it got some. It's checking the scope boxes here. Perfect. I found an issue. So I found an issue already with the scope boxes, with the names of the views. From there, yeah, it's checking that information again. Meanwhile, I'm gonna prepare some views here. I'm gonna move this here. So yeah, I found the 6 floor plans already. Now it's doing summary. Great. So I found 6 floor plan views, your model, that are designed to show specific rooms, room their names. So views with properly assigned scope boxes. So it tells me all these are properly assigned. We can see it made a mistake, actually. It made a mistake here, we can see. For example, it says it was properly assigned, but we can see that the name of the scope box is not the name of the room. So sometimes these summaries are good to check, because
Right.
sometimes it can skip these small things, so it's good to double check. Again, there's one view with missing a scope box, the warehouse room. So I'm just gonna open the warehouse room, which is this one here. There's no scope box at all. And the other one, that was the share with Cantor, which is the spread camera. I'm gonna open this one as well. I'm just gonna resize this a little bit. I'm gonna close this, and put like the tile view. And the cool thing is that I can tell, for example, I can tell to correct those. So I can follow up that question and tell correct. Oh, sorry, I didn't say actually to correct the view, correct the scope box assignment. And because it didn't identify that as an issue, I'm gonna tell class view. So I'm asking to correct the incorrect, to correct the incorrect scope box assignments from the spread camera room view, identifying the floor plan views. For each view that has incorrectly assigned a scope box, assign the correct scope box that corresponds to the specific room in that view, which is intended to show. So I'm asking to fix those values. Yeah, it should go pretty straightforward. Yeah, first getting the scope boxes again, and then it should set the values. So let me go here, scope boxes. So now it's setting the parameters. We can see that the views changed already. And they basically set the scope boxes based on the room name. And here the warehouse, again the warehouse.
Nice.
So yeah, that's another example of how we can fix the model apart from finding data. There is also some cool things. Yeah, I got the Zoom chat around here. Let me move this. There's also some cool things that it does. For example, if I got the 3D view, the cool thing is that it can interact with Revit live, let's say. So I can, for example, type the scope boxes here, category, and I can move this from here to here. And I can, let me type this. And I can tell, for example, let me move this again back here. And I can tell isolate and show only the scope boxes with issues in Revit, in the Revit view. So it, like, because the connection is open, it also is able to like isolate things in the view, to select things if I want to. Yeah, in this case, it should isolate the scope boxes in my current view. Let me see, get elements, so it's getting more information. I think it's looking for the 3D view now. Yeah, I need to find the 3D view. Let me verify and check its name. Perfect. And then it isolates. So that's also a different tool, which is isolating. I could also ask it actually selected the elements as well. I didn't ask for that, but sometimes it finds, it makes sense to make the selection. So because I was working with them, it automatically set the selection for me. So yeah.
Yeah, no, that's I could see that being really cool, actually. Especially if you're in auditing or conditioning a model, instead of setting up, like 20 filters to show like this wall that has this data and this, you can just do a command that just says, a chat that just says, isolate the wall, isolate this wall that has this and this door that has that, and instead of making a whole bunch of filters, especially if it's just a temporary sort of like, this is all I want to see, which is really cool. The the one thing I wanted to mention that you said in the last go around was that it made a mistake in there, and that's I think a huge lesson for just general AI usage is that the summary,
Yeah.
like reading the summaries and not just taking the data for what it is super valuable. I've seen that many times when I've been using it, where just a quick read through, you can see, oh, there was a stupid little mistake, and then having it correct it and move through it. I think that's a good lesson for all forms of AI when you're talking to it. Is don't just take it at face value. Double back and look at the summary of the results. Awesome.
Yep.
Very cool, man. Well,
So
you have one more example, or are you good?
I got the last one.
Your last one, perfect. We have like three minutes, but if it goes a little longer, it's fine. But you almost made it through all your examples. We might as well finish it. Let's do it.
Yeah, it's actually my favorite one. So yeah, let me hide this. There's a temporary one. Yeah, I'm just gonna undo all this straight away here. I think it's gonna be faster. Yeah, I'm gonna open a new chat again, and now I'm going to focus on Revit warnings. So I'm gonna ask this here. So I'm gonna ask to analyze the warnings in the Revit model and the number of elements associated to the warnings. Create a compact visual dashboard with functional charts and tables. Use consistent colors for the same type of warning across all charts, and then I add this design responsive layout that doesn't require excessive scrolling. I add this technical thing because because it has this size. If I resize it, I want the layout to be more or less responsive.
Nice.
And then we got into the artifacts. This is what we were talking before. This is like HTML code. It's like basically like a website, and it's generating that report in this window here.
Nice.
So usually generating this kind of reports take a little bit longer because it needs to generate all this different stuff. But yeah, we can see that it already finished it. The cool thing is we got here all the information from Revit into a dashboard. So I have, for example, there are 123 elements that are wall room separation overlap. There are like 22 that are actually rooms lines overlap. So yeah, there is some overlapping here as well that could be fixed. But as well, like if I also this graph, for example, I could ask to fix it. Sometimes it's not running the first time, but sometimes it's the second one I could ask, for example, let me try fix the graphs that are not shown properly. Let's see if it fixed them. The cool thing is we have like this connection with Revit. When we have the dashboard ready, we can also relate back to the elements IDs. And we can also select elements. We can color elements. I'm gonna try to color some of them when it's finished. And also like share this kind of like reports. If I want to share them with other people, I can also do that.
So while that's chugging, a couple questions that I think are probably good to bring up to close it out is the first has to do with family files. Can it open family files and edit stuff within family files? So if you were to edit those door families and do stuff in the family editor environment, I guess is the question.
It doesn't. If I have like a model open, it's not gonna open the families and then start editing them. So I need to have the families open to actually work with.
Okay, so you need that. And that kind of leads into the second question, which is working with multiple files. So let's say you had a core shell file and I don't know, whatever. I mean, it could just be just two Revit files that are working together. Can you interact between the two? You just have to have them both open?
Do you mean linked files or both open?
Even if they're linked or not, just if you had two instances open, whether they're in the same instance of Revit or two separate instances. But if you wanted to sort of do model sharing or somehow do something between the two, like, hey, maybe get all this and check it again, check to make sure this model has the same, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
That's possible?
Yeah, that's possible. Like in every request, I mean, I'm gonna open the actual request. We have actually the name of the model. We have some information that is coming from the model here. So we have, for example, if it's a link document,
got it.
The model title as well. So I can switch and the AI is going to detect that there is a change in the model. And then it's gonna be able to extract information, but also to get information from links. So there is one tool that is to switch to a link doc and then start reading data from the link itself. So it can also read information from them.
I
Of course,
assume,
not edit them, but
yeah,
because
yeah.
links are read only. But
Right. Well, that's kind of what I was going to say. So I assume you're still limited to the API for Revit when it comes to certain things, right? So even with links, I know there's, we're getting further along, but I know regardless of whether you're coding, hard coding, Dynamo, or this, you're still limited to whatever the API is given to us, right? So
yes,
we'll take that for what it's worth. So let's see this final report here.
yes. So I
Did it
got the
fix them?
report
Let's
here.
see.
So yeah, it updates
It looks
some
like it.
things.
Yep, it did.
I got some bar charts as well with the elements,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then some final table again. The table, the cool thing is that it's interactive, so I can actually, see the number of elements, see the warning per type, for example, and all this information. And one of the things that I could do as well is that I can come here into publish, and if I hit here, publish and copy link, it's gonna publish this into a website. So I can copy the link here, open Chrome, and then launch the website, and then the report is going to be on a website.
Neat.
So I can send this link to whoever I want to. I must say that if you work with confidential projects or with sensible data, please don't do this because you're actually sharing your data on the internet openly. So be aware that this is publicly published in the internet, so anyone can access this link and this information.
Yeah, but once you have the dashboard created, there's probably other ways that Claude can make something usable that you can make private, whether it's like an export into a certain format or whatever, if you really had to go down that road. But that's still super cool. Awesome.
Yeah. The last thing actually, just before finishing up, is like how to relate that to Revit. Is I can say, for example, color the elements in the current 3D view according to their corresponding graphics. So I want to color, if an element has a warning, I want it to be colored in Revit so I can maybe tell my colleague to fix it or whatever. And it should be able to start coloring elements based on these graphs.
Again, which normally would have to be a whole bunch of filters or whatnot. It would be a pretty time-consuming process.
Yes. So yeah, we can see it start coloring some red things here. Also here, these are some walls overlaps.
Yeah.
Then the tool is now set graphic override. So this is the one that is coloring different things, and it should be coloring more things around. Coloring warnings, good. So it got a bunch of element IDs. So it's working with a lot of data there. Let's see. First warning. Now,
Cool.
So yeah, that's the last example. So
that's awesome. Very cool. That can be handy for a lot of different things. And I think a lot of people in the chat are thinking of all the different ideas of how this can help them. So I appreciate you coming on to share it with us and the world. and any final thoughts before we wrap up?
Not really. Thank you very much for the invitation and for having me here today.
Awesome.
And it's my pleasure to join your show. I'm a big fan.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming on. I appreciate you willing to come on and share your knowledge with my audience. That's Nonica.io or AI, sorry. But either it's linked below. It's IO. Nonica.io. It's linked below in the description. Definitely check it out. I think you said there's a free version of some of the tools, but then definitely check out the connections. Follow Jaime on LinkedIn. He's a great posts on there, so definitely check that out. Anywhere else people can follow you, or is that probably the best bet?
Yes. In LinkedIn is where we post most of the things. So
Awesome.
I make like usual weekly updates there.
Awesome. And thank you guys for joining us today. I really appreciate you being here for this special noontime edition of episode 127 of BIM After Dark Live. Again, this episode is brought to you by the BIM After Dark community. So head on over to community.bimafterdark.com. I look forward to seeing you guys soon. And until the next episode, thanks again, Jaime, and we'll see you guys soon.
Thank you. See you.